Good evening, and welcome to Creative Broadcasting, the station of unlimited possibilities, presents Creating Your Seat at the Table with your host, Ashley Little, as she welcomes her guest to the table.
Welcome to Creating Your Seat at the Table. I am your host, Ashley Little. A little bit about myself: corporate professional by night, corporate professional by day, entrepreneur by night, two-time best-selling author, owner and creator of Creative Broadcasting, and co-founder and owner of Talk Radio and TV Network, LLP. Tonight we have my special VIP guest, the amazing Pam Perry. A little bit about her. Pam Perry is an award-winning communications professional. She teaches and mentors authors, speakers, and entrepreneurs on how to build a platform and attract major media and publishers. She is also the publisher of Speakers Magazine and founder of the National Association of Black Podcasters. After working with Pam, her clients have been featured on CNN, TBN, The Word Network, Radio One, Oprah Magazine, Tom Joyner Morning Show, Essence, Ebony, Black Enterprise, and PBS, and many other major media outlets. Her clients have been offered major publishing contracts and have created successful full-time careers as entrepreneurs earning six figures. She has been called by publishers weekly a PR guru and featured in many major publications, including several covers, and on more than 100 radio and TV programs. She also has a 20-year career expertise in marketing, public relations, and journalism in Detroit, including work with the Detroit Free Press, WNIC, The Edge with Jeffrey Miller, Radio One, Michigan Chronicle, WNIC, and the Hub Detroit Magazine. Pam has worked with many nonprofit organizations like the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History and the Detroit Area Agency on Aging, developing their social media presence, online brand, and digital marketing programs. She is also author of Synergy Energy, How to Use the Power of Partnerships to Market Your Book, Grow Your Business and Brand Your Ministry, and 115 PR tips on how to brand your ministry, both available on Amazon.com. Known as the master of connecting the right people for the right project at the right time, Pam Perry PR works hard to help her clients brand and get paid like a superstar. Welcome to the table, the amazing Pam Perry.
Oh, thank you, Ashley. You are amazing. Listen to you go. That energy is like, okay, I got to bring it, because she done read all this and sounded all excited. I was like, okay, all right, let's create this seat at the table here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Pam Perry, for coming on the show. I'm so honored and humbled because you are definitely one of the greatest of all time. So I'm humbled to have you today on the show. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So would you please tell the listeners about your amazing entrepreneur journey?
All right. Well, let's see. Let's start at the beginning. My actual training actually was in journalism, and I minored in advertising. So once I graduated from school, I actually worked for the Detroit Free Press, which is a large newspaper, so that's the journalism, but I worked in the advertising department. So I had the best of both worlds. So I would say that over that period of time of working from the Free Press, I worked in print, then I moved into radio, then I moved into television. And after working through all the mediums like that, I said, I really, really want to do something a little bit more meaningful, meaning that I wanted to take all the skills and the knowledge that I had about radio, TV, and print and work with a organization that really makes a difference in the world. And my first nonprofit, quote-unquote, job was working with the Joy of Jesus. And really we did a thing where we sent kids to camp, kids from the inner city out to a summer camp out in the forest, or not forest, but, just like in a really nice nature area. And so we sent, our goal was to send like 100 kids to camp. And so I really had to really pull together all of my marketing, advertising, PR, journalism, media experience in order to raise money to send these 100 kids to camp. And we did it. So one of the things we did is we had like the Detroit Free Press, where I previously had worked, did like a summer, like what to do with your kids for the summer type of issue, summer camp issue. And we were on the cover of that issue. Well, that raised like all the money that we needed for that summer, plus really a lot more money that we needed for even like the next two summers. So I saw the power of the media really, really move the needle in terms of helping nonprofits really accomplish their mission. That was really where the seed for my company now, which is Ministry Marketing Solutions, really started to develop. From there, I went from the Joy of Jesus to the Salvation Army, where I was the director of public relations. Again, the key word being salvation, it was, again, a church. They had a major mission. They also learned it's about branding. So I really learned a lot about branding there, because when you see a red shield, thinking about the Salvation Army, you immediately know what they do, that they do good work. And the red kettle at the Christmas time, and again, using all the skills, they got a lot of media attention, doing newsletter stories, really just about storytelling and branding is what I learned there. At that point, really learning, it's kind of like a tumbleweed as you kind of like move along. You're just moving along here. And I really said, you know what, I really like working with the Salvation Army, but I really want to work with my community, the African American church community. So from there, I started my own company, and that was in 2000. So that was roughly about 19 years ago. And I worked with the African American church community, working with mega churches in the area. And then by then, a lot of pastors want to write books. I love books. So I would help pastors really write and promote their books. And for about 10 years, I also ran an organization called American Christian Writers. And what that was really teaching regular people how to really be a scribe for Christ, really how to put their pen to paper and really produce and publish a book and promote it. So I did that for about 10 years. So I really moved really out of the space of working with churches directly and became working with authors. In order for authors to sell their books, they have to speak. So really my niche really narrowed down even more, working with pastors, ministers, Christian people who had stories that were inspiring, that really wanted to tell the world what they did and how they want to really help other people, became Christians and authors. So that became my niche. So if you go to PamPerryPR.com, because it really stopped working with like ministry marketing, but anyone who really wants to PR, Pam Perry PR means that I help you market the message. That's where I am now. So I really have Speakers Magazine, where I help give a platform for speakers so that they can actually get traction in the media. I help them with the Branding Accelerator so they can really get their brand together. So anything what speakers and authors need, I really want to help them do that, whether it's becoming an author, a best-selling author, building their platform, all that other kind of stuff, podcasting. So obviously, when I started in 2000, right, they didn't have all this. They didn't have all that social media. A lot of people didn't have websites, and myself included. So I had to learn it, which really keeps me, really helps keeps things exciting for me, because I love this stuff. I love learning new things. So I started out trying to help people figure out how to navigate MySpace, up to the point now like teaching them on how to really properly work Instagram. And who knows what it's going to be next year. So there's always something new. So you just have to stay relevant, right?
Yes. Well, your journey definitely is amazing. You built your platform, basically. Prime example of building your platform and definitely making sure you do the work, right? You built it step by step. I love
Staying consistent.
Yes. So I know you are expert in helping authors and entrepreneurs and speakers get to the next level. So what is some good advice you would give to our new authors who are trying to get their message out there?
I would say really get their systems together. So when I say by systems, meaning that I want someone who has a properly working website. I want someone who definitely has an email list. I want someone to have a branding of all of their social media. I want them to basically have the back end ready for what it is that they need. And then also too, like something simple as their payment systems and just trying to figure all that out. Because what I don't want new authors to do, because when you're an author, you really open up a business. So I really want them to understand that they do have to really act like an entrepreneur. I call them authorpreneurs. So they really have to know all of the phasing of really like a digital marketing system, what that looks like in terms of their email marketing, how that all puts together, how to have their, even like their hosting, making sure that they're not using the wrong hosting. So when I say a new author, I want them to think of their birthing not just a book, but a business. So their web design and development, that's a whole nother part there. And just, really optimizing their website for SEO and just making sure that that whole piece is together, that if they do want to start a podcast, how that would look in terms of what they're doing now and their social media, like I said, making sure that their branding is on point, whether, it doesn't look one way on Facebook and look another way on Twitter, and making sure that they're using the right tools, that they have a branded, email, that they're making sure that they're not using such and such at gmail.com, but a branded email, making sure that they have, if they're going to do any kind of social media management software, whether they use Buffer or they use, Hootsuite. Those are the things, because once they're in the process of really promoting their book, they don't have time to be trying to figure all this other stuff out. They need to have that done. And so when I find that authors are in the middle of trying to do their book, do the signing, do the promotion, and then their back end is raggedy. When I say raggedy, like they don't, it's like, oh, somebody wants to do coaching. Let me throw up a coaching program. Oh, well, now somebody wants to ask me to speak. I need to get a contract together. So, all those things in terms of like think through your business. What do you want it to look like, and set those foundational things up. So that's actually like where I am right now, because I find that the number one reason why most businesses fail is because of systems. And when you think of businesses that are really flourishing, Amazon is a system. It's really, they don't produce anything. It's a system. So the systems, if you have that in place, once you can grow, you can expand, you can scale it. So really where I'm at the point where I'm just really helping them, put that together. If they want to put together a website, make sure they use WordPress, because maybe they want to start eventually a membership program, or maybe they want to do online courses. All those things are available if you're using what I call the industry standard things, and that's what I'm really teaching new authors right now. Like, it's more than a book, it's also a business.
I love that. And I know you have this amazing Brand Accelerator program that prepares us for the next level.
Yes.
Could you speak on a little bit more about that, Pam?
Yeah, the Brand Accelerator was really created to help authors, speakers with their publicity, with the positioning in the market, with publishing books, with partnering with other authors and speakers and sponsors, and building their platform, meaning like trying to find their own voice and really getting their message out and really attracting their tribe. So that was really the whole purpose of it. So it goes over 12 weeks. It's online. And what I do is I take people, just like a class, from beginning to end, soup to nuts, like this is what you need to do for publicity. This is how you position yourself. This is how you publish. And I have guest experts on, from someone who's an influencer marketing expert who's worked with glamour magazines and all the quote-unquote beauty influencers, to someone who is a best-selling author, to journalists that have worked for major magazines. So the guest experts come on. I do a little bit of teaching. The guest experts come on. They actually do a little bit of Q&A, and then from there we just ask them to pitch themselves, like practice pitchings, because at the end of this I want them to be off of the tricycle, onto the bike, into the car, and really sailing down the road in terms of like doing everything that they need to do on a regular, like to have a consistent way of really pitching yourself, producing content, because it's really about producing content. And that's what they should be doing. As an author and speaker, you're a content creator, so they need to know how to really package all that.
So I know you just started your new cohort. So when is your next one after this? How can listeners get involved and register for the next one?
Yeah, I do it live just twice a year, spring and the fall. But I do have the digital program as well, and that's always available. So people can do the digital program. We just won't be live, but you can actually get the course over the 12 weeks, all the modules, all the materials, and you actually hear the other cohorts, and you learn from that. People learn from listening to other people as well. And then we also have like a forum where you can actually ask questions and things like that. But that is going on 24/7, but the next cohort is in the fall. And they could go to brandacceleratorprogram.com. And actually, I don't take everyone in the live because it has to be a good fit with the other people in the program, but the online course is available for anyone.
Awesome. So please get out there, because Pam Perry is one of the greatest of all time. So you definitely want to get her knowledge, because she has a lot of it. Because I listen to you consistently, Pam. Learned so much from you, still learning from you every day. So everybody wants to be a bestseller. This is a new wave. So can you tell the listeners what makes a bestseller so everybody can be educated on that?
So it depends. It depends on the list. So you can have a list with Essence magazine, and so Essence is at one point in time where Essence had, like, if I make the Essence bestseller list, that's going to be so cool. And so then Essence will publish their bestseller list. Well, how did Essence create that bestseller list? Essence did it by really polling about 12 to 20 bookstores, and they would ask them to send them their numbers of the week. What were their best sellers of the week? Meaning, like, what did you sell this week? So, say, Essence would say, oh, we sold 30 copies of Malcolm X this week. So they would take all that information from all these bookstores. It was only 12 of them, and someone would have to tabulate, okay, out of all these bookstores that we surveyed, and they sent their numbers, we would see a pattern. And so number 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, these were the slots of the top 10 of the Essence stores that we surveyed of what were the best sellers. So typically it wouldn't be, so this is why it's important to know who's reporting. So for New York Times, they have New York Times reporting stores as well. So you can sell, and so you can sell books in any other bookstore, but if it's not the one that reports to the entity that publishes the list, it doesn't matter. So what happened with Essence is that people understood who the Essence bestseller stores were, and authors would go to those stores. So if you go to those stores and do your book tour to those stores, you become a bestseller, because now you're pushing all 12 of those stores to, within a period of time, it's within a month. You would go to those stores within a month, and you would typically be an Essence bestseller. But that's like cracking the code. So people would do that. Same thing with New York Times. You have to know what are the New York Times best-selling stores, and go to those stores within a period of a month. And then at the end of that month, when they do the tabulations, if you are a bestseller, again, you crack the code and you're on the list. Amazon is different. Amazon is not like is based on algorithms. So they basically every hour they're updating what sells. So a lot of times people will, if they're going to launch a book, will ask people to buy a book on a particular day, because in that way they know that if you're selling, in order to be Amazon bestseller within your category, you can only sell, you don't have to sell like thousands. You could sell like 400. Or you could sell 40. It doesn't have to be a lot. It just depends on the algorithm. So Amazon knows, and so you ask people to go there and buy books, and so they could be a bestseller. You don't know how many is actually sold. The author would, but typically we don't know. It varies based on the category and what's going on that day. So that's really it. So it just depends. It's not necessarily that it's a major amount of numbers, but that you know the inside out of how it's done. And that's really where you kind of get the expertise from someone who knows, like, how does that work? What are the best-selling stores? What are those names? How often do they report? And the same thing with Amazon. What's the best day?
Love it. So with the categories with Amazon bestseller, it's important that you pick the right categories, too. So why is that so important, Pam?
Well, I mean, if you have a Christian book and you go on Christian Living, then you're competing against everything that's Christian Living, including Joel Osteen, Joyce Meyer, T.D. Jakes. I mean, it's going to be kind of hard to kind of like compete against those guys. So you want to pick a category where they're not in, obviously. So that's why picking a category is important. So you want to look and see what's in the category before you pick it. Now, if it is Christian Living, maybe you could just niche it down and they're not there. But if you have someone that's like always a beast in that category. I mean, Michelle Obama's book. I mean, who's going to compete against Michelle Obama's book? So you want to just like maybe stay away from that category.
Right. And so we all, all the authors that are listening, new and seasoned, we bring our books out, but we want to make sure that our books do not just sit on the shelf. So what are some strategies you would give to authors on how to monetize their books?
I would say if they're going to, most people don't really create a book. Well, how would I say this? 95% of authors have another job, okay? So they're not making a living just by writing books because it's really, really not a moneymaker, the books themselves. An average book may make, I don't know, if you're going with a publisher, you may make less than $1 a book. And if you publish yourself and you put it on Amazon, they're going to take 60%. So, and this is after the print cost, right? So it just really depends because the book itself is not going to make money. Now, if you self-publish and you do everything yourself, you sell a book for $20, you maybe get $10 because after the, all the other costs and things. I mean, you still have to sell a whole bunch of books, So it's like, okay, I'm hustling just to make $10 a book. It's like, really? So what I tell people to do is with their books, they really need to create a whole program around their book. That is their core message. That's their key message. So it's in their speaking. It's in their courses. It's in doing workshops. But it's a whole, you could typically probably pull out maybe 100 different products from one book. But you have to be very strategic about it. So it's not about the book, but it's about the business of the book. So what is your business model going to look like?
Right. I love that because that's so important to be able to monetize it, because you want to be able to get your message out there and you want to be creative with it. So I love that. And I know you spoke earlier on, the platform somewhat. So would you please talk to us more about how to build our platform and to make sure that it's inspiring and that it's attention getter and that we're able to, it's a platform that actually has a message that's going to help us get to the next level?
Yeah, so I kind of think of a platform like if someone is like Miss America, so they're in a pageant, right, Miss America or Miss USA or whatever, and they say, well, what is your platform? And they always say, well, what platform is Miss America going to? So basically we're talking about what is your key message, what is your mission, what is your main thing that you're trying to share out in the world, that no matter in what form it is, that is your platform. That is what you're standing on, okay? So now the other part of it, you're standing on this platform, so who are you reaching? So when I really say who are you reaching, meaning like in who, first of all, who is your target audience, but this is a whole other thing, but who are you reaching and how? So you have a platform, you know your message. Are you doing a podcast? Are you doing a book? Are you doing a live seminar? Are you doing webinars? Are you doing Facebook Live? Are you doing Instagram Live? So wherever your target audience is, that's where you want to share. That's where you want to share, and you build your tribe. The larger tribe you have, that's when they say that author's platform is huge, meaning that they have a large listening audience or reading audience or just a tribe of people that are on their email list and following them. That's the platform. But you have to decide first what is your key message and who are you saying it to and who do you want to help. That's really the main thing for a platform. Just like if someone were running for Miss America, it's like, oh, my platform is I want to help children in Ghana. Okay, well, that's your platform. So now everywhere you go, you're going to be talking about helping children in Ghana. That's your platform. So no matter different ways, wherever you go, even if you're doing a fashion show, proceeds go to the helping the children in Ghana. So that's your platform because that's a consistent message and mission that you have throughout everything. You're never off point.
So after we get our platform together and it's consistent, we want to reach out to the media. So what are some key things that listeners would need to be prepared when reaching out to the media? Because everybody wants to be in the media, but we have to be prepared, too, as well.
Yeah, and I don't even think the media would be the first thing that we would reach out to once you actually have your platform together. And I'm actually going to be doing a series with some other publicists, colleagues of mine, like how do you know when you're ready for a publicist and how do you know when you're ready for media? Because it's a misconception that people think that, okay, I'm ready, here I am. And it's so much because there's so many other opportunities that you can do before you get to the media. I always think that at a certain point in time that you could be building up your resume or basically your resume before you get to the media. And then once it's really, really good, then you attract media. So I really do think that people should build up online that really, really strong foundational things. Like I said, making sure your systems are okay. Because you can have, for instance, you could launch your book and it becomes an Amazon bestseller and, everybody loves it. And then you say, okay, well, let me get on television. And you get on television and then they say, wow, I really like her book. I bought it, or I want to check her out more. And I go to her website and you got some janky little hosting company, or your website is just really whack. And it just turns people off. And it's like, you're not ready. That's what I say, you're not ready, because certain things just aren't in order, and it doesn't add up. It's like, wow, they had an Amazon bestseller, but I look at them, and I send them an email, but the email just comes back and it's bounced. Or, just crazy things. Mm-hmm. It's like it doesn't show professionalism, so everything isn't tested. But if you do want to get on media, the basic thing is write a press release with a hook, send it to the media, and they have you on. Now, whether you have those steps in between are really, really a lot into each one of those. And then at the final stage, all right, have you been coached? So making sure that you're not saying the wrong thing and making sure you're saying the right thing that fits that particular audience of that media. That's really, really key, because, you can not be invited back if you say some stuff that's crazy. But, so those are like the basic things. So just knowing how to write a press release, so who, what, when, where, and why, and then having the hook, and then doing the research to find the right media that would be interested in that hook.
And you said a lot of key nuggets, but the mentoring and having a coach is so important, but that's getting to the next level on anything. So why is it so important for us to have more than one mentor and coach, and how do we seek out to make sure we pick the right one? Because everybody's a mentor and coach now, but we got to make sure we pick the right person and invest in the person that's aligned with what we're trying to get to, and that's being where we're trying to go.
Yeah, I would say if you're going to have a coach in one area, have one coach in that one area at a time. And what I find is that some people will get a coach and they'll get too many coaches, and everybody has their own style. And so now the client is confused and conflicted because they don't know. They have a coach that said this, and then the other coach said that, and it's like, I don't know who to listen to. So I would say, stay one course with one coach. When you're finished with that, then go to another. Now, you can have different coaches for different areas. You can have a different coach that is for business, and a different coach that's for media, a different coach for health, whatever. That's fine. So you can have more than different coaches, but And you can have a mentor. A mentor is someone that you basically someone who is just bringing you along. So they're not necessarily training you and coaching you. So you can have different mentors for different things. That's not a problem. But a coach, if you're actually paying for a coach, you should stick with one so their program works. Because if you're splintered and you're confused, you won't do the work, and that means you've wasted your money. So I always say that you should have a coach. I mean, I have a coach. I have a business coach. And so my business coach is someone that I trust, who's known me for a long time. And so I won't have like 4 different business coaches, because now I'm just confused because they have different processes that they would use. And so I'm too, it would be a mess. That would be a mess. Definitely want to stay with one coach, and say their coach's coaching program is 3 months or 6 months, or even if it's a mastermind, stay with that program until it's complete. And don't jump around into a whole lot of different ones, because you'll end up being confused. And don't even try to go like, people say, well, my coach, I don't need a coach. I can just Google everything, or I can just get all this free information. Be confused. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's there's things behind the scenes that you don't know. There are so many nuances of everything that looks like maybe when people are giving things free, they're not really telling you a lot of the details that you need in order to move the needle forward. So I always tell people, I said, you know what, you will know what it is that you probably have to do, but I'm telling you, the free information will not give you all the how. They won't give you all the how. And that's really the main thing that you need, is like how to do something, not what to do, but how to do it.
Yes, and investing in yourself investing and not being afraid to ask for help.
Right. That's true. That is so true. You have to ask for help.
Yes. And I've talked to so many amazing people, and my question would be, why is it important for business owners to have a podcast? I know that, I've talked to a lot of great people, Pam, but I want to see your insight on that because I know that it's key to getting your message out there.
It is only if it's a good podcast, because I've heard a lot of bad podcasts. So it's just, only if you're going to be consistent with it and only if it's produced well. That's the main thing. But it's just like talking in someone's ear. I mean, it's very personable. You can understand what someone, their point of view, their perspective. So you really do understand, and the more you know, like, and trust someone. But only if it's good. Only if the sound quality is good. Only if it's consistent. If it is, when I say consistent, meaning like I know what I'm going to expect when I listen to this podcast. And so a lot of people are thinking like, oh, well, I could just podcast, sporadically. No, you really should be real regular if you really want it to work for you. So that's really the main thing. But podcasting is a really inexpensive way. You don't have to worry about makeup and all that. That's for sure. Television is the epitome of it because people will know, like, and trust you because you're appealing to more of the senses. They can see you. They can see your body language. They can hear your voice. They can look at you. So that's the epitome of it. But the next thing would be podcasting, just like print, radio and TV. I mean, that's always the level. A lot of times people will just start out with print and then go to radio, then to TV. So, and then the ultimate part is really being live.
Love it, love it. And you have an amazing organization called the National Association of Black Podcasters, and I'm blessed to be a part of the group. There's so many nuggets that you give out daily. Could you speak about that a little bit?
It's actually going to be launching in June. So the National Association of Black Podcasters is really created so that podcasters can, one, network together, but two, so we can also learn best practices. And we have our own sounding board where we support each other, because I find that if everybody podcasts, but then no one is really sharing and liking or subscribing or reviewing each other's podcasts, we're all just making noise. So I really want to bring everyone together so that everyone can then support each other, and then eventually we have like a yearly conference. So that's really the whole point of it.
Awesome. So I ask all of my guests this question, Pam. How did you create your seat at the table?
I don't think I created the seat. It was just, I think it was always there. You just have to step up to it. It was always there. So it's like you come into a room and you see a table. It's always there. You didn't create it. It was just there. So some people will probably say I created it, but no, I just expected it. I just sat down.
I love that. So we all have
some people will say, like, if somebody's sitting here, and I just was like, no one's sitting here. I'm sitting there. So it's an attitude.
I love it. It was already there. You just stepped in there and sat down. I love it. I love it. So during our journeys, we all have a process. So what did failure teach you, Pam?
What did
failure?
What did failure teach me? That it won't kill you. Yeah, it won't kill you. So my main thing of doing anything is like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, the worst thing that can happen, you could die. So I realized I've been a whole lot of stuff and I never died. So that's why I don't embarrass easy. That's why it's okay for me to take a risk. I mean, because I always feel there's a workaround and I can figure stuff out. So I don't really, I don't know. Failure doesn't really scare me because I know it won't kill me. So I know that as long as I have God and I have faith, I can, the next morning, he'll give me something new, a new idea, a different way of looking at it, and hey, just keep it going. There's been times when I said, like, wow, I remember one time I started a magazine years ago. It was called Soul Source, and it was such a great idea. I was going to have a church to support it. I was going to have authors in it, and it was going to be in the newspaper, and it was in there. It was in the newspaper. It was an insert, and we had it in there. We had a page called Chocolate Pages, and then eventually it grew into Soul Source, and it was like, okay, so this will be better. And it was like, I think 16 pages, and it was once a month, and it went out to 10,000 people in Metro Detroit. So you would think, like, there's a lot of churches in Detroit, a lot of Christian authors, or whatever. Those people didn't want to buy that thing. It had to sell advertising. Nobody wanted to buy any ads. It was just horrible, and it was like it ran for 3 months. I mean, it went out to 30,000 people over 3 months, but it did not make money because no one wanted to buy advertising. Churches at that, this was 10 years ago. Churches didn't want to buy advertising. They were claiming they were broke and whatever. It was just horrible. I was like, oh, my God. So I just let it, stay. And it was like I did Chocolate Pages. Became a podcast. A lot easier to do a podcast because there's a lot less risk in terms of money of really producing, getting the graphic artist to do the layout, to do the printing, to do the insertion, and oh my God, yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of money.
Well, I know you always talk about, don't despise small beginnings and always celebrate the small wins. So could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I would say a lot of authors especially, and we'll talk about authors and speakers. So a lot of authors are like, I want to write a book. I said, well, sometimes maybe just start out and be in somebody's anthology. Or maybe start out with a tips booklet. A tips booklet is a little small booklet of tips. My first book was 115 PR tips on how to brand your ministry. So like over 1,000 copies of that little bitty book. It was a teeny book. It was a small pocket-sized book, but it was where I started. And I always tell people it's not where you start, it's where you finish. So that book then went on, was like a business card. It was like a big brochure, a big business card. And a lot of times people would read it and it plant seeds, and then that's how I grew my business. Speaking the same thing, I just had someone on the Brand Accelerator, and they were on, and they've spoken for Women of Faith, and they've been on TBN, and they've interviewed with Kathy Hughes of Radio 1. I mean, they've really, not right now, huge. But when they started, she said her first speaking engagement was in a hotel, but not in a hotel like in a conference room, but in a hotel room, a room with the bed and like a little bitty couch and the chairs. And they were all in that room. And her book table was an ironing board. So she said she just didn't. It was like they were like 6 people in the room.
Yeah.
Few sat on the bed, few sat on the little chairs, and she had this room, and she talked to them like it was 6,000 people. And that's where she started. She said she didn't mind because it was like about the message. So it's always about serving. So if you're serving, you're providing a solution, you're providing content, value, it doesn't matter how many, because eventually it'll grow. An acorn grow into a big oak tree. So it doesn't matter because you have to give everything time. If you're impatient, that means you're prideful. And pride is before a fall. So you just want to be patient because it will grow.
Right. And I know you train speakers all over the world. You're expert at that as well. So why is it important for speakers who want to get out there to actually be a student as well before they jump out there as well?
Yeah. Well, if you want to be a history maker and a world changer, anyone has they have to have some kind of mentor, or they have to be, you're saying that they have to learn. They have to learn the ropes. I mean, failure is going to come. No one's going to give you like the exact blueprint, and you will never make any mistakes. But I would say you want to curb the errors as much as possible by really making sure that some information. The industry information is really important, and knowing the right systems to set up, and knowing that certain things are clues that, quote unquote, this person doesn't know what they're doing, and media can tell that too. They would know, like, oh my goodness, this press release is horrible. They don't know what they're doing. It goes in the trash. Or one of the clues for me is someone who has a book and then they have a forward by someone, and then the forward is spelled wrong. I just know that they don't know anything about the book industry. They put FORWARD as forward. And it's like, no, that's not a forward. That's like marching forward. A forward is FOREWORD, a forward. So just little things like that a mentor could tell you rather than printing a book and then thinking like, oh, you didn't know what you were doing. You don't want that attitude. You don't want anyone to say that to you.
So many nuggets tonight. So many nuggets. I just love Pam Perry. So, Pam, would you please tell us what we can expect from you the rest of 2019. Because you already knocked quarter one out.
Yeah, well, the National Association of Black Podcasters, I'm really excited about that. So we are putting together the directory, the whole organization, the structure, the conference, so all of that, and then it'll be combined with Speakers Magazine as well. So they'll see a good combination between Speakers Magazine and the National Association of Black Podcasters. So they'll actually see something coming up very soon with that. So yeah, so they can go to speakersmagazine.net and get on the notification list so they can find out more about it.
Awesome. So please get a part of join the movement. And Pam, what is the application process to be a part of Speakers Magazine for our listeners that might want to apply for that?
Yes, so they could go to speakersmagazine.net, and we basically have some requirements that it's not like they have to be the best speaker, but they do have to have these elements. We want them to have some kind of video of them speaking. That's one. Mm-hmm. Some high-resolution pictures of them that definitely translate well in the magazine. And we also need to have a bio professionally written and no more than 350 words. And then they need to have a website, and we'll check it out. We'll check out your website, yeah. So they need to have a website because it's a reflection. Because I had someone just call me the other day from Jamaica and says, I was looking through your magazine, and I'm interested in one of your speakers. Can you put me in touch with them? So they're looking through the magazine, and they're checking it out. So that's where we have to make sure that our brand is on point and that the people who are in the magazine represent. Especially if
and I know you always talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you always talk about the Wix website. That's a no-no, correct?
Yeah, because right at the top it says get your website for free from Wix. And it's like, okay, so you want to charge money, but you got a free website. It's like, how's that work? Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, not good. Mm-mm. And
it's
not an industry standard. It doesn't allow you to scale your business. It shows. I mean, my daughter is 22, so she can have a Wix website. That's fine. I mean, she's just kind of playing around. But if you're really trying to charge some real money and trying to go on real media and get on real stages, you can't have a Wix website. It just looks like you're playing.
So for all of our listeners that are listening, get a real website. Get rid of the Wix website if you have one.
Right. And unless you just want to stay there and you're just kind of like trying some things out, like as a sample or whatever. But, I mean, I remember seeing someone's site. No, I remember seeing someone online, and I heard them, and I said, wow, they're really, really, whatever I thought. And I really thought I would like to probably buy what they were selling. But then I went to their site, and it just turned me off immediately because I was like, because right at the top it says, your website free. I'm like, nah. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
That's
what mentors will help you. Yeah, that's what mentors will help you. So you really just need to know that you have to be positioned properly, and that's not a good position, not positioning you the right way.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So please tell our listening audience, Pam, how they can contact you and follow you and purchase your amazing services.
Yes. Well, very simple, and I always tell people to do this, is to have their name. So I'm PamPerryPR.com, and they can go there and they can sign up to watch a sample of the Brand Accelerator program. It's a video on how to get TV interviews and how to really master the media. So that part right there is just, they can go to PamPerryPR.com and download that. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. So definitely go check out PamPerry.com. She has consistent videos that help you all the time. And I'm telling you, I've learned so much on a daily basis off PamPerry.com. So definitely please go follow her. Like I stated, she is one of the greatest of all time and has so much wisdom and knowledge. So thank you, Pam Perry, thank you for coming to the table today. You have a very busy schedule, and I would like to just thank you for saying yes to this show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ashley. This has been really, really good, and I just appreciate you so much. You are doing a phenomenal job.
I'm humbled that it's coming from you, okay? I'm so humbled. Thank you so much.
Oh.
Yes. So I would like to give a special thanks to Tammy Collins-Marquis and John Schamberger. I would also like to give a special thanks to Dr. Larry White Sr. and author Kimberly McLemore. You all may follow me on Facebook at Ashley Little and on Instagram at _Ashley A. Little. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Creating Your Seat at the Table, where Ashley speaks with corporate professionals, celebrities, entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers who are transitioning or have transitioned to entrepreneurship.